Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in pints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, it's my friend, Superman. Frank, how are you today?
Don't get confused just because I'm using my Superman koozie today. That's
using the Superman koozie.
the Superman
Look at you.
koozie. Yeah, that felt appropriate.
Look at you. It does feel appropriate. How are you today?
I'm doing super, if you will.
Good. Oh, I'm feeling super myself, Frank.
Glad to hear it.
You're down with the super puns. I think it was going to be a long episode anyway. Frank, what are you drinking today on this whatever day it is?
I am drinking, on whatever day you're listening, I'm drinking a Kölsch style ale from the Henniker Brewing Company in Henniker, New Hampshire, which I don't know where that is. But other than it's in New Hampshire. But it is this is not my first one, but I am opening this one up right now. It is a delicious Kölsch style ale.
I love a good Kölsch.
It's light. It's a perfect summer beer. It's fantastic, and it's low, 4.6 ABV. So you're not looking at something that's gonna get you schwasty faced, but it's quite enjoyable. It's delicious. It's light. It's refreshing. It's crisp. Just the way that the old the German monks who invented a Kölsch ale intended. So there you go. I'm enjoying it.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
What about you? What you got?
Frank, I am drinking something from the Revival Brewing Company, which is one of the closest brewing companies to me. I am drinking a Hail Berry blueberry sour ale.
Nice.
The punship is strong with this one because the bear is like a bear. Hail Berry. Blueberry sour ale, and he's wearing a Pats jersey because
is that what it is?
Because we're in New England. So it says New England is known for good times and big wins. The sour ale is both, blending delicious beer with fresh blueberries for taste that scores. With no shortage of passion, this edition of our Berry Sour series is a champion.
Nice.
What I actually love about the can is that you've got some like football plays on it, like circles and X's and stuff, but the circles are blueberries down at the bottom.
Love it.
Yes, it's good
That's
stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's not too sour for a sour, which is kind of like my sweet spot on sours. I'm like, you don't want to have like a Sour Patch Kid,
right,
or something like that, where you're like, oh, okay, I got it. It's in the back of my throat.
Right.
It's in my nose. It's on the table. I threw it up.
And that's why I typically stay away from sours and beers in that style, because they're often too much for me. I don't like something super sour. I like Sour Patch Kids. I like sour candies and things like that. But a sour beer just to drink an entire, farmhouse ale or something that's very, very sour all the way through, it can be too much for me.
Yeah, I like sours more than you, so I understand your hesitation. I understand your hesitation on them, though. Just like I'm careful with my IPAs.
Yes,
when it's
I like IPAs more than you do.
Super dark. When it says super hops, I'm like, no, that one's not for me.
Right.
And I don't need to go hopping anywhere. That's for the bunnies.
And I do get kind of bummed out if I go to a brewery and all they have are IPAs. I'm like, I'm not always in the mood for that. I like IPAs, but I'm not always in the mood for it.
But the American obsession with the IPA is not helping my beer selection. Because like when I go to the store and I'm like, can't wait to try some lagers. Oh, wait, there are none because it's all IPAs. That's trash.
I agree. I completely agree. Yeah. I want more like variety in my beer. That is absolutely a thing that I'm 100% with you on. I enjoy them, but I don't think that should be everything.
No, it really shouldn't. And I'm sorry that if you listening are the lover of the IPA, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But sometimes I want a Kölsch.
I just want variety. I want the option to have an IPA
or a stout.
Right.
I want something else.
I want the IPA and something else to choose from. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah. Because every so often, a good IPA goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just not to my taste.
Yep.
However, Frank, do you know what is to my taste?
Kneeling before IPA?
No.
Oh.
No, I would never do that. I would rather kneel before Zod, Frank, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Hey.
We're back with another episode of Superhero Slapback.
Slapback, baby, slapback.
Slapback. I don't rewind my tapes, and I deliver them back to Blockbuster without them being rewound.
Ooh, like because I'm evil.
Because I'm evil. Actually, that's not true. I was a Be Kind for Wine person.
Of course.
You know why? One, because it damaged the tape.
Oh.
Probably not true. A lie that we were told.
No.
But also, two, because I worked at Blockbuster.
I was going to
Frank,
say,
and
that feels like number one is because you worked at Blockbuster. So, yeah, you know the pain.
Yeah, I do know the pain.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know the pain of getting tossed off an icy tundra in the North Pole, without any superpowers. Don't know what that feels like.
I couldn't say.
Yeah, but Frank, anyway, we're back with Superhero Slapback to talk about the next installment in our chronological superhero series, and that is Superman 2. We did Superman last time, and Superman 2, because this was the age of not a lot of superhero movies. Our chronological order is going to get a little bit more complicated.
Yes.
The closer we get to 2000.
Yes. It starts real picking up.
Post X-Men, it's going to start to be like, which one came out first? This one was a couple weeks before this one, before this one, before this one, before this one.
It's going to be matter of like days in some cases.
Yeah, let's talk about Superman 2, mostly directed by Dick Donner, the late Dick Donner.
Yes, great.
The late and great Dick Donner. Mostly, but also not really directed by him. Most people seem to love Superman 2 more than most people love Superman 2 more than the first one. Yes. I don't.
Neither do I.
I think that the first one is I wouldn't say far superior, but I think it is superior.
It's an overall better film, I think. Yeah, the second one is a great sequel. It is a great sequel.
It is.
It is a great
sequel.
But it's not necessarily like a standalone. It's not a standalone movie, right? In the same way. So.
No, and I don't think sequels necessarily have to stand alone, but I think people like it more because it actually has some fights in it.
Yeah.
And like Superman's punching some people on his level, and I think people really dig that.
Yep.
I do as well.
I do too.
However, I think the story outside of the fighting is some of it's okay. It's one of the first ones to do. The thing that people copy, because we're talking about this movie with the wrong vibe. We're talking about this movie like we don't like it.
But I like it.
I love this. I like this movie a lot. Yeah, I love it. So let's not go down that route of complaining about it. That's not what we're here for. But one of the things that gets copied in this movie that you will see chronologically across so many other movies is the hero gives up his powers to be with the woman that he loves. Right. And that, we have it here because you can't have your cake and eat it too, apparently, Jor-El.
Right.
What Jor-El really doesn't want to tell him is that, you'll smash Lois's pelvis into powder. You need to give up your powers.
Insert
That's
Kevin
the only
Smith
way.
quote here.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the only way this is going to work. So there's a couple of things that I surrounding that I don't love in terms of the Superman mythos in this film. Like him giving up his powers for Lois, that's fine. He loves Lois more than he loves being Superman. I'm 100% down for that.
I'm on board.
That's okay. I don't think that he needs to. I have more of a problem of that being a weird status quo that he's got to fulfill that kind of balance thing. That's fine. I don't disagree with his choice, but I do prefer that he doesn't have to do both. what I don't like is that he accidentally reveals his identity to Lois. I actually think that's my biggest issue with the film on a whole, more than the S that takes, or the kiss that takes away memories, or the cellophane S, or any of these like weird little extra things that happen in the film.
Sure.
Him tripping over, because Clark's not really clumsy. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Clark's not really clumsy. He pretends to be clumsy.
Right.
Right? And so him actually tripping over a carpet means that he actually did trip over it.
Yes.
And it takes away his authority to reveal his identity to Lois. It also takes away her identity, like her ability to figure it out.
Yes. I fully agree with this. I feel like Richard Lester, who directed this movie in its final form, he'd also directed Superman 3. I don't know how great a handle on Superman he has. And I say that with love. I love Richard Lester. Richard Lester directed a couple of my favorite movies of all time.
The Beatles movies, right?
Yes, A Hard Day's Night and Help. He directed.
I didn't even need to look that up.
There you go.
I'm so proud of myself.
There you go. You get a bell. Yeah, absolutely. So he holds a very special place in my heart, having made two of my favorite movies of all time, in the Beatles movies. But yeah, I just, he would even admit, like, he saw it as like, oh, it's a comic book movie, so we're gonna, that's why the whole opening credit sequence of Superman 3 is all this like sort of slapstick thing, because that was his view on comic book movies. And I don't think he had a particular attachment to Superman per se, and so things like that may have escaped him in a well-meaning way, but it may have escaped him to not realize sort of it matters to a lot of fans that like Lois is invested and bought in to this, right? And
correct.
And that it's not. Yeah, I don't think that was intentional anyway, I guess. All that to say, it's not intentional. It was an oversight, I think, on his part. And the Richard Donner cut of the movie has a different version of that scene.
I actually don't remember what the Donner cut
And the Donner cut,
did instead.
in the Donner cut, you have so in the theatrical cut, they're at that hotel, right, and he trips over like the bearskin rug.
Correct.
But in the Donner cut, there's an extended version, and actually, I think it's actually from like a screen test.
Oh yes, the bullet.
Yes.
What do you call it? The blanks.
Blanks in the
bullet,
gun, where she's
like, Lois, what are you doing?
She calls his bluff, and she takes a shot at him, and so he admits, okay, yeah, I'm Superman. And then she's like, it was blanks, which is more of like it's still silly because like he would have known, but like there is still the aspect of Lois figured it out and like use her brain, her investigative reporter brain, to get it out of him.
Doesn't the Donner cut also have a bit where she like puts glasses on the Superman photo on the Daily Planet newspaper?
Oh, she draws them.
Yes, because like part like a subplot of that movie is her like she's actively trying to get Clark to admit that he's Superman.
Right, she's trying to prove it.
Right. It's not just like oh, isn't that interesting? They look alike, or it's like that's her part of her mission is to do this thing.
Yeah,
right.
which is more in character for her, admittedly.
It is.
Yeah. But great things about this movie, like Terrence Stamp is iconic. Absolutely iconic in this movie. And the way that Christopher Reeve stands up to him is so earnest and so like, I will protect my home. This is my home, and I will Planet Houston is my home, and I will protect it. That is like beautifully done and beautifully like understands who the character is supposed to be, right, and what he stands for.
Yeah, and actually, even there's some campier stuff, but even like when they're all fighting on the streets of Metropolis, and there's like the bus and the Coca-Cola sign and all that stuff, and Superman yells out, "No, the people," which is arguably really campy, and it's like what you would say nobody would really yell that, but however, it actually does get across exactly what this guy is about and what he's doing, and what I think a lot of future Superman material actually completely misses the point on. And I'm not just pointing at the DCEU. I'm actually pointing to things even like Smallville.
Yeah,
and
I would agree.
Like, yeah, because it's very self-driven, a lot of those things. Who am I? What do I need to do?
Yes.
What is it? And it's all that stuff. But Superman 2, he's like a fully formed person.
Right.
And it's all about not what I need to do for, like, what I need to do. It's about those people over there.
Yeah.
They need me.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he is here to protect them. They are great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They just lack the light to show them the way, right? Like, he is being the light to show them the way, and he wants to protect them from harm. That's a great point. Yeah, Smallville is very much about the self and about, like, his journey to getting to be this version. And here we see the fully realized, like, it's not his first adventure. It's not the origin story anymore. And he is here to be a protector of the oppressed.
Correct. Well, I think even like early Smallville, like, you get these, like, it's about saving his friends, right, or his family. It's not really just about saving anybody that needs it, and so. Not that's just the way that's written, though. It's not like he's like ignoring people that need help.
He's a 14-year-old kid when it starts, and then by the end, when he's a grown 24-year-old man,
quote, he's 14.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I've been watching Smallville with Mary my wife every so often, like, because I'll have it on because your show is making me want to watch it. So like every couple of days, I watch a new episode, and I'll be like, "How old do you think he is?
Yeah,
how old do you think they are? How old do you think they're supposed to be?" It's been fun.
That's
engaging time. Yeah, the only one that's really like, wow, that actually probably could be his age is Michael Rosenbaum.
Oh,
where like he's supposed to be like 21, 22, 23, somewhere in there. It's like, yeah, I could see it. Like, he's not, but you can pretend.
You can buy it. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's but it's true. This is maybe the best example of Superman being for the people, because even Superman the movie, he's saving Lois. It's between, am I saving Lois or am I saving Miss Tessmacher's mom?
Correct. Right. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it's also all those other people in those towns, but
his motivation,
it's motivated by one person. And I mean, like, the Superman the movie, he like goes and saves a bunch of people on his first night out and blah blah blah. And Batman v Superman, there's like sequences of him like saving the boat and saving the people on fire, and it's like saving all that stuff. But the through line of the movie is, how are these people treating me, and how do I feel about it, and my feelings, and blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And truthfully, this movie isn't really ever about Clark's feelings. And when it is, he suffers for it. And I think that's because, like, the whole point of giving up the powers is the selfish motivation.
Yeah.
Like, and, quote unquote selfish. Like, he's trying to like be he's trying to have a life, like, poor guy, but
right.
But, that's when it ends up hurting, and he goes back because of the people. Right,
he realizes
he's there
that
to help.
His purpose is something bigger than himself. His purpose for being here, Jor-El and Lara sent him here for a purpose bigger than himself. And every time that when he tries to have a relationship with Lois, which, yes, to your point, is not an unreasonable thing to want. Everybody wants to be happy, but when he realizes that he has to put his own needs second to the greater good. I do like that. The greater good.
Sorry.
I do like that more modern, Lois and Clark, and now Superman and Lois, and what's happening in the comics in recent years. They have, in my recent years, I mean the last like 3 decades, they have found a way to have the balance where he can be with Lois and still, be a protector of the people. They've found a way to tell that story, but for a long time it was just sort of like, that's never going to happen. At that point in time, Superman had been around for 50 years, 40 years, not even 50 years, and there was just no real storyline in which Superman and Lois got together, stayed together for the long term. That didn't really happen until the 90s. So that was. He, at that time, framing this in the 1980 time and place that we're at. This is the same year Empire Strikes Back comes out. This was the most you were going to get of like a Superman and Lois relationship at that point. That and like the silly Silver Age comics where it's like they're together for one issue, but it turns out to be an alternate reality where Mxyzptlk is making it all happen or something. Like this was the most you got of a Superman and Lois real relationship, and he had to give it up to be able to save the planet.
Yep. And let's talk about, let's say, speaking of saving the planet, let's talk about, we said Zod, Terrence Stamp is iconic, like you don't, there's a reason Neil before Zod, it is just, it's everywhere. And like sometimes in Superman stuff, they like try to avoid it, or they'll like go around saying it, where they'll just say Neil, or they'll just do this, or they'll get like somewhere in there, but it's still a Neil before Zod, no matter how you cut it. Yeah. It's like great power, great responsibility, right?
Yes.
It's like you can cut around saying it all you want, MCU, but that one day you're going to have to say it. It's somewhere in there, because that's the whole point. Yeah. And that's honestly, that's kind of the thesis of Superman 2. Great power, with great power comes great responsibility.
It truly is.
And that's that's why Spider-Man 2 copies this formula of, he doesn't really give up his powers so much as lose them because of self-doubt, but it's kind of the same motivating factor. It's Mary Jane, it's Lois Lane, so and we see it more times besides this. I totally lost my train of thought. But Zod, I think there's the three of them, the three Kryptonians, is like just enough level of menace and camp inside the movie at the same time. But there's an actual zaniness, or I don't say zaniness, but like an unbalanced nature to I would say Terrence Malick's Zod, Terrence Stamp's Zod. Like there's like he's not quite right in the head, and you can see it in his eyes, no matter how much he tries to hide it. It's actually a pretty layered performance for how over the top the movie actually is.
He's unhinged.
And I also. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if it's the best version of Zod's character. I think the Man of Steel is a great Zod.
Yeah, I do think Michael Shannon is a fantastic Zod.
He's layered, he's powerful, you sympathize in a weird way, but not too much, because he's also unhinged.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, this is great stuff there. Lex Luthor comes back.
Yep.
I don't love that. Even as a kid, Otis was one of my favorite bits of Superman, and I am still bummed that the late Warren Beatty is also not. Ned Beatty, not Warren Beatty.
Wrong Beatty.
I was like, Warren Beatty is Bugsy. That's not right. Yeah, Dick Tracy.
Ned.
No, and Ned Beatty, the late Ned Beatty, is not in it very much.
Right.
And that's kind of a bummer. I do, however, love their like projection equipment. Like that they're playing chess in their cell.
Yeah.
Like Lex Luthor, greatest criminal mind of our time, is just chilling in regular minimum security prison. Like, why is that man not like deep in the cellar somewhere? He had two nuclear warheads that like, and also, but how do you like, if Superman reversed time, like how do you prove that Lex did any of those things, because they never happened?
Very wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
It is. If Lex waited a little bit longer, he would have realized that his amendment rights were actually taken from him. And he would have just been released regularly.
That's true. Maybe not the greatest criminal mind of our time, after all. And also, it's worth mentioning at this juncture that Superman 1 and 2 were meant to be one movie.
They sure were, Frank.
Yeah. The Salkinds. Alexander and Ilya Salkind, not brothers, father and son duo, who produced Superman the movie, tried to pull a fast one on the cast and crew of the movie by trying to pay them all for one movie, knowing full well that they had enough material to make two. And so their hope was, we will shoot all of this, and then we will just say, oopsie, there's too much for one movie, we're going to cut it into two. That was what they were hoping to do, and they kept it a secret from everybody, and they got caught. And I think they got fined by the Producers Guild. And since then, there have been things put in place by the Guild to make sure that can't happen again. But they got real close to doing it. So that's why we say that Dick Donner directed most of Superman 2, because a lot of Superman 2 was shot with Superman 1, and then Dick Lester was brought in and shot more. And directed and made the final cut that we now call Superman 2, the theatrical cut. But that's where the Richard Donner cut comes from, is that he had shot so much of it. He picked up footage that got cut. He picked up some of the footage that was like from screen tests and things and recut this version in like 2005 or 6. That's now called the Donner cut. Anyway, so the Lex Luthor stuff, the logic of that might be because it was supposed to have been in the same movie. And maybe there would have been a better explanation for that.
Yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense. I always assumed that you gave me new information, because I had always thought of whatever that they were trying to get 2 movies, but they pretended it was only 1 movie.
Yes.
Not that they were actually okay.
Yeah, they pretended it was one. They pretended it was one, and they were gonna then be like, "Oh, we have so much material. Guess we're gonna make 2 out of it."
So yeah, no, that does make sense.
Yeah.
So like when you say like it was supposed to be 1 movie, that's not necessarily
no, it was not supposed to be a movie. They shot it as one. They shot it all together.
Okay, all right,
and they were
sorry.
lying to everybody to try to cheat.
That's what I thought. Okay, then I had
movie.
heard the right thing. Okay, the way that you had just said like it was supposed to be 1 movie, like it just made it sound like I just made everything you just set up. Okay, I'm back on board.
Yeah, they were just trying to pay everyone for 1 movie instead of 2.
Gotcha. Well, that's cheap. Whatever.
They were not nice people.
No, apparently not. Hilarious that they're making this movie about one of the nicest people in pop culture.
Honestly,
Superman.
It's a miracle that these movies 1 and 2 are as good as they are, because they were a total cash grab. The way these guys the producers wanted to make them, they were a complete cash grab. They were just like, we can get the rights to that character. Hell yeah, we'll make a movie about that. With we're lucky that Tom Mankiewicz and
Mario
Puzo and Richard Donner were involved, because that is why these movies are what they are.
And that also comes down to the continued lovely earnestness of Chris Reeve.
Yes,
right. He just gives it, and even in 3 and 4, which we'll get to. Unfortunately, I'll have to watch those.
He never lets up, though. You're right. As much as those movies are great, but he never lets up in his earnestness, in his love for the character. He feels it to such to his core. That man loved this character. Really, really loved this character to his dying day. Literally to his dying day. It's palpable. I've never seen anything else like it. An actor who connected so deeply and so profoundly with their character, for life. Never ever. I don't know that I've ever seen
Truthfully, the only other example I can think of that even comes close is the guy who played Jesus in Jesus of Nazareth, Zeffirelli's Jesus of Nazareth, because when they stopped filming, he was like, I had a very profound experience and I'm going to go be a Jesuit.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he became a priest after playing Jesus.
Really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And I don't know if he was even practicing, if he was a practicing religious anything when he was cast, but I just know that it was such a profound experience for him that he was like, I'm going to go be a priest. See ya.
Wow.
Which is that's as close a proximity as I can get to Chris Reeve's love of a character that he played.
That's commitment for sure. Yeah.
It is commitment. It is commitment either way. So I'm sure there's more things that we would love to say about Superman 2. It is such a fun movie. The orange juice stuff is great.
Yes.
I love Lois throwing herself. I actually love Lois throwing herself over Niagara Falls to be saved. Stuff like that. There's a heightened Clark in this where he's like, Lois.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also love just the little bit of Superman giving into feeling good for himself and going back and beating that guy up with superpowers.
Oh, right. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that. But yes, there's a certain satisfaction you get from it, for sure.
There's a tiny bit. If he's like, if I can't be with Lois, I'm at least going to have this guy's nose bloody.
Right.
And maybe that's not the most Superman thing to do in the world, but you know what? There's still room for growth. Everyone has them, right? Yeah. So, Frank, where can the people find us?
Well, you can find us at beerwithgeeks.com. You can rate and review us or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Overcast or Stitcher or Spotify or Google Podcasts or Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts. You will find Beer with Geeks. You will find all the Thought Bubble audio shows are all available in every podcast directory. You can also hop on over to thoughtbubbleaudio.com if that's more your style and find the links to subscribe there. Ratings and reviews mean a ton, especially on Apple Podcasts. Because, you know what, little known secret, you know, a lot of apps like Overcast and Pocket Casts and Castro and lots of great podcast apps actually use Apple Podcasts as their back end. So if you rate and review a show on Apple Podcasts, you're actually helping it get better discovered in those other apps as well. Little known fact. So Apple Podcast reviews are great, ratings and reviews. You can support us with a rating or review, or you can support us with your hard-earned cash over at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. If you want to throw us $1 a month or so to help us do all these shows, cover the costs of servers and all of that. And finally, you can give us feedback on the show on Twitter at Beer with Geeks, or you can email us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. And that's about the long and the short of it, Tim.
Well, all right. Well done. Well done, Frank. That was actually remarkably well said and true. Please rate and review us. I did not know about that little thing. I didn't know that like Overcast and stuff relied on iTunes scores.
They use the iTunes directory. So
that's cheap.
It's the biggest directory out there. Why not? You know?
Right? I know. It's just like, but what if you don't have an iPhone? Then then your review means, where does it go? Nothing. It's nothing.
To our hearts.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Well, and to your heart and mind, Frank, it's always a pleasure talking to you. So until next time,
cheers.